Welcome to another episode of Safe Space, the podcast for next generation family business leaders. Today, we're joined by Amanda Cullen out of the Northwest Territories up in Australia. Amanda, welcome to the show.
Hello, Franco. How are you?
Good, thanks. I just like doing that little, radio kind of thing, right? so, so before we get started, if you can let the audience know a little bit about you and the family business in the background, and then we'll get into the sort of trucks of the conversation.
Sure. My name's Amanda Challen. I'm the next generation of our family business, Advanced Civil Engineering. My dad, Keith Aitken, started the company back in 1980, so we're 45 years young. We are based in Darwin in the Northern Territory of Australia, so it's quicker to get to Bali than it is to get to Melbourne or Sydney for us. We're a civil construction company. We specialise in complex concrete and marine structures. And one of our biggest projects was to build 13 bridges over the Arnhem Highway, which is the gateway to the beautiful Kakadu National Park. As I said, Advanced's been going for 45 years. I stepped into the CEO role in January this year, January 25. I've been with the company for 33 years. It was never my intention to run the company, but here I am.
So let's talk about day one or week one of those 33 years. What was it like? Like, there you are, a younger version of you. As you said, no intentions of ever running the company. So what was it like, in the shop, in the business? What was that like?
Back in the day, I had just come out of a law firm. I've been working in a law firm, just married, had my first child, trying to work out where life was going. And mum had been doing the books for the company, admin and payroll. And she'd had enough of dad. So she said, "Here, I'll take the child, you take the man child." And so there I was, just learning, enjoying another relationship with dad that I hadn't had before. So, but we've got a great business relationship. So, and learning I've been learning for 33 years.
And how did you differentiate the relationship from, from daughter and father to Amanda and CEO owner of the company? How did you manage that dynamics?
It wasn't a conscious thing. Certainly coming out of the legal, professionalism was at the forefront of my mind. Um, back in those days, we did a lot of work we call out bush. So, hundreds of kilometers from anywhere. Contact was via CB radio. So Dad probably wasn't in the office very much at all. So it was pretty easy. I was left to my own devices to just get on with things and keep things ticking over. So it we probably have a better business relationship than we do a father-daughter relationship. So it was easy.
So it sounds like it was very natural and it just worked. It just flowed.
Absolutely, yeah,
So
yeah. So I think from both sides.
so let's fast forward, day one, week one to 33 years later, where you take over the running of the company. What was that process like over those 33 years? Was there any conversations about when is going to take this over, or was just sort of a natural evolution?
It was never my intent to take over, and certainly being in a male dominated, being in the civil construction industry, um, a woman in charge of a civil company really wasn't um, on the radar. wasn't something that I thought that I could do, even if I wanted to. It really probably started back around 2017 when a lovely lady said to me, "Put your head up and have a look around," because I was really focused on the back end of the company. And Dad, Dad would just go and buy things and then say, "Here, you sort that out." So that was always fun. But probably about 2017, I put my head up and realized that there's a whole world out there, and started to join things like Family Business Australia or Business Professional Women, things like that. Started to stick my head up, grow myself. My kids were off my hands by then, so I was looking for the next challenge in life. So that was about 2017, 2018. Family business probably gave me the tools to recognize my ability to be able to take over the company from dad, but still, it still wasn't, I still was looking for somebody else to take over the reins for dad, who was hanging on, hanging on real tight. Um, so then one of our long-term employees said he would put his hand up for it, and he put his hand up for it and did a great job for a while. And then it just developed, and uh, a lot of the time the guys would say that, well, Amanda runs the company anyway, um, so do what she says. She has control. But it really wasn't until I put the three little letters behind after my name, the CEO, that probably the respect it just turned. I don't feel that I've done too much different, but the respect came. It was different. So it was weird.
So you talked about, growing yourself. Can you share a little bit about what that was like, and what were some of the challenges that you were facing as a next generation family member in this business?
I think I'm lucky enough that my siblings, I've got a older brother, younger sister. They mum and dad divorced 20 odd years ago, and unfortunately the family split from then. So I didn't have to deal with a lot of the issues that some of the other family businesses have to deal with. So I had the opportunity to grow myself. It was looking back now, it was probably, I don't want to say tough, because I don't feel it was tough. It was just put one foot in front of the other and get on with it, and learn and take every opportunity to learn. And once I recognized that I could do it, well, here I am now.
So what were some of the things that you were learning about yourself? So, I imagine there was the technical side of the business. There's all the business end of things. What were you learning about yourself as an individual? How were you growing Amanda from an emotional perspective?
Oh, that's not a nice question, Frank. Um, learning more conversations, lots of conversations with certainly other women in my space. There's some magnificent women around that want to lift you up. Don't They're not in it to help themselves. They certainly want to hit you up. So having the confidence, getting the confidence from those women, that helped. I was certainly often put down by men in the construction industry. So there was often wines and conversations with ladies, and just more and more conversations, and having the courage just to stand up and recognize my own self-worth. It took a long time for that to come.
Do you think that that is a challenge that a lot of next generation family members have? Is it really owning their self-worth to be able to step into the role? Because, it's some of these shoes are huge to fill, right? And, you've got the
Yeah,
the shoes of the
yes,
CEO, plus the shoes of future owner, plus dad, right? So that
dad.
emotional confidence, right? Like, your group sounded like they were absolutely fantastic for you and helping you prop you up. Do you think there's enough being done as an industry to develop self-confidence in these next generation leaders?
I uh, Yes, I do. There is a lot of support and a lot of recognition of women, certainly in the construction industry, and in any other industry around. I think I think I'm just of the era where my mother was the housewife, and you behaved yourself and you did what you was. There would be few and far between of the women stepping up and stepping out and having a say. I think that my daughter, who's working in the business now, also, I think she'll be a lot stronger. She is a lot stronger than what I am, and I really want to make sure that I give her the support and the leg up and the confidence that I didn't receive from my mother. Um, Stepping into the shoes of Dad, remember very vividly there was a turning point in Dad and my working relationship. Dad would often come into not often, but he'd come into the office, rant and rave, having a bad day, and then he'd walk out, and 20 minutes later he'd come back in and everything was fine, and I'm still going, what happened there? What the hell?
Yeah, you're like,
So he
"Ah."
came in one day, rant and raved. Came in, rant and raved, and I said, well, get out, and when you're in a better mood, you can come back in. And I sort of went, oh my God, you can't speak to the CEO like that. He went out, and then he came back in a better mood, and we've had a better working relationship ever since. So, um, I don't know. I don't think it was a deliberate, conscious thing that Dad did to come in and rant and rave and carry on to me. I think it's just the way that business was back then, and you tend to do it with the family.
That's such a powerful point you bring up, Amanda, is the importance and power of boundaries and standards. We
Mm.
put up with um poor behavior from our family members because we cut them
Oh
slack. Well,
yes.
it's just my mom and it's just dad, it's just my sib, and it's just my husband, it's just my kids. And the reality is, we deserve to be treated with respect and dignity. And coming in ranting and raving and yelling is not okay. And good for you for saying, you know what, not okay. And I don't think that we
That
are taught the conversation around boundaries and
exactly.
standards.
Exactly. That's very true. And I've even been doing it myself with my daughter. She's got two young kids, and I remember remember vividly trying to get kids to school and get yourself to work. And I unfortunately had to have the conversation with my daughter just recently, and I felt a little bit crappy afterwards. But then I thought, no, hang on, you don't get extra favors. Yes, you are family, and obviously you do get some extra favors, but no, turn up on time, do it. The other lady in the office can get her kids to school. They're a bit older, but so that was tricky for me. But now she's turned up on time to work. So and you can feel, I can feel in the office that people in the office are almost a lot happier that I've had that conversation too. That she's not just mucking around. She's serious too.
One of the processes we take families through when we have our family meetings and the development of their emotional governance is a conversation around standards and boundaries. Because, the standards we walk by are the standards we accept. And if we
Mm,
aren't clear on this is how we do things around here, this is what's okay, this is what's not okay, it's going to be very blurred, right? And you having the difficult conversation with your daughter, who's also an employee, about, you know what,
mm,
this is how we do things around here, is important for her, for you, and also the morale of the company.
mm.
And
Very
and
much, and I'm still learning that. I really am still learning that, and we've not had a business family business coach, but certainly in the last 12 months to 2 years, I've reached out to a number of people to get some guidance on things like that to help grow me, and then that'll help grow the company too, I believe.
it's so important that we grow as human beings and as leaders, because we all have, our narrative back here from the past, that I'm not valuable, I'm not
Mm.
important, I'm not significant, I don't belong, all that stuff. And unless we develop the awareness of that narrative is going to come up front and center and be making decisions for us,
It
you
does.
know
It does. And I would never have thought to have a coach, a business coach, at all. And in fact, I would have gone, what's wrong with you? You don't need a coach, just get on with it. But yeah, it's a great help. Yes.
Well, a business coach will bring perspective, they'll bring awareness to the table. That awareness will give you the courage to start to do different. And when we do different, we become different and we get different results. The
Yes,
conversation of,
yes. And I'm seeing it
daughter, I
now.
love you. Right. I love you very much. And here you're an employee. And here's how we do things at the shop. Conversation's over.
Yes,
It's got nothing to do
yes,
with
exactly,
love.
exactly.
No, 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 no. Two separate things.
Yes, yes, exactly. So exactly. And that's why my brother doesn't work in the company anymore.
And one of the misconceptions that a lot of families have is they believe that having, charters and constitutions and traditional governance in place equips them to have these conversations. We are not taught how to have conversations. We're not taught how to operate with boundaries. We're not taught how to be clear in our communication, right? And what happens is the
Very, very right.
narrative says, if I say this, they're going to punish me. They're not going to love me. So therefore, we don't speak our truth. And all of a sudden, we have no boundaries and standards.
It's so very true, Franco. Trying to have an 80-year-old man have conversations is tricky, but we're getting there, and it's getting easier. And you're right. I spend a lot of time thinking about the hard conversations. I've had to have some hard conversations in the last couple of years, and I spend a lot of time in my head thinking about, all right, if I say this, then he's going to say that, and then I'll say that, and you think I finally gotten to the stage where I'll just say it instead of spending all the time in my head having these conversations. And I reckon 90% of the time the conversation went different and a lot easier than what I had built up in my own head. Have the conversations.
Once we have the courage and have the self-awareness of our conditioning and how that gets in the way, the courage gives us clarity, and the clarity gives us safety. Once we have
Yes, that is
emotional
so
safety because of the clarity, now we can tackle the difficult issues because it's just a conversation about this particular issue. It's got nothing to do with whether you love me, whether I'm valuable. No, that's nothing to do with that.
exactly, exactly.
You
And
know,
part of the we fell down as a family because when we did have family gatherings, Dad and I would start to talk about work. So it's really difficult. It really has to be a conscious thing to not speak about work with the rest of the family around.
yeah, yeah, because
We're
that's the
still
connection you
working on
guys
that one.
have is through work, right? They don't
Yeah,
feel
yeah,
and they don't feel like they're a
yes.
part of it.
Yeah, exactly. And it's still that this company is dad's baby. He's put 45 years into it. So how do I please dad? I talk about the thing that he loves and has put his life into, and that's his business. That's what I know. He can talk about football and league and everything else with the others, but this is my thing with him. So I'm still navigating that one.
So has your father done any coaching around communication?
No, no, not that I know of. No. He
You,
comes to
you know,
meetings without his hearing aids in, so he's testing me every time he comes to a meeting.
so what's the biggest thing you've learned about yourself as a result of the coaching with a business coach?
That I am capable. No, I knew I was capable before. I'd need to have the courage to keep my integrity, to continue on with this. I I once I learnt that I myself did not have to build anything. I didn't have to learn the ins and out of what pile driving is and how to build a bridge. Uh, once I recognised that the only thing that I've got to build here is a team of amazing humans, which I already have anyway. It's just changing and tweaking a few things. I'm very capable of running this civil construction company,
Yes.
and that's me. And that's something that I've got to work on personally with my abilities. So yeah, when Dad comes in to the office, there's still that little girl that wants to please, but probably less or so these days.
Well,
Because I already am, by the way I'm running the company.
and I think the difference, Amanda, is you have the awareness of the little girl that wants to please, and you step into, the adult Amanda CEO that's running the company. The little girl isn't running the show. The adult is. And that's the awareness piece, right? And the adult has the courage to speak her mind because she's gained the confidence in that she can do this. She's got the capacity.
Exactly. And I would say a lot of that was my own determination, but an element of that is having conversations with coaches like yourself and others, certainly from Family Business and the Family Business Forum group. And I do have a personal CEO coach now,
Good for you.
so
Good
that's
for you.
helping. Hmm,
So we're coming
thank
to the
you.
top of the show, as I knew we would, very, very quickly. So I just like to always ask our guests the same question. So based on your experience, what's one piece of advice you would offer, senior generation family members, and what's one piece of advice you would offer next gen that are coming into the roles?
I would say have the conversations. Have the conversations. Be respectful. The it takes time to get the words out sometimes, but have the conversations with one another gently, respectfully. Yeah, that would be one of our first family business conferences. I was seated next to an older a founder of a business, and Dad was seated next to the next gen, and we both had conversations with those people that we should have been having with one another. And but now we are. So start the conversations. Get out of your head and start the conversations.
There you go. Amanda, thank you so much for your time, your wisdom, your candor, your humor, and just letting people into your life. So if people wanted to learn more about you, reach out to you, how would they find you?
I am on LinkedIn, Amanda Kay, and Advanced Civil Engineering, our website. You'll find me there.
Beautiful. So, Amanda, thanks for being on the show. And guests, as you know, listeners, as you know, our guests donate their time, their wisdom because they care. They want to be part of this community. They want to bring value to the community. So, if anything spoke to you or you like what Amanda had to say, just reach out. Have it. Just say, thanks for that chat. Really spoke to me. Found it really beneficial. Most importantly, though, share. Share the show with your friends that may be struggling around, how do I have the conversation? Where do I start? Because, Amanda's advice of just start the conversation is wonderful. And that's the key. Just have the courage to start the conversations.
Very much. Thank you, Franco.
Absolutely my pleasure.